Are you in control of your stress, or do you sometimes feel like stress is in control of you? Now, in this video, we're going to talk about stress management, but we're going to look at it in a little bit of a different way. We're going to put you at the center. We're going to talk about the capacity that you have to take on the stress of daily living, the stresses of daily living that we all experience. So your ability to take on those stresses of daily living in a positive and productive way. We're going to talk about a little bit about how it affects your internal world. And then we're going to talk about some strategies that you can implement into your daily living that will help to expand this capacity. And so you feel like you're more in control and you feel like you can meet the stress of your day and your life. All right, let's start out with talking about the external stressors. And these are the stresses of daily living. These are the things that we experience in our daily lives that really help our daily lives move forward and work like they can in this modern world, right? And so, of course, there's money. We all have that financial stress. So from time to time, there's your job that brings on some stress. Your family, whether you have a significant other and children, or if you don't, family can still be a concern for you, and it still is an ever-present. Sometimes it can be a stressor, but many times a good support as well, right? So we have our social stressors. That's anything outside of our family. It's our friends, our networking, our community. We have societal stress. That just the societal structures that can kind of feel stressful. We have our environmental stress, whether it's it could be toxins, it can be pollutants, it can be noise, it can be how safe you feel in your neighborhood and in your home and things like that. So that's environmental. The societal and environmental can be kind of a broad spectrum look there, and so we want to make sure that we're considering all of those. And then really that's our external stress, and they're talking about that just real quick just to address it. But our internal stress really is a reflection of how well we're handling and really our experience up to this point with our external stresses, if that makes sense to you. So, and I think it will here in just a moment. So our internal stress is the fear, the anger, the worry. Now these are just general topics here that have a lot of nuance, I know, but these are kind of the highlights. So you have guilt, pain, whether it's internal, whether it's physical pain, emotional pain, mental discomfort. You have illness, whether it's chronic illness, you might be having a chronic illness, or maybe it's frequent seasonal illnesses, frequent illness like cold and flu and things like that just keep coming along and linger, and maybe it's hard to shake. Sometimes an obsession kicks in when we're really stressed. We get hyper focused on a certain thing, whether because it makes us feel good or because we want to figure it out, right? So that obsession, anxiety comes along, poor concentration. Really, I think of poor concentration as a symptom of all of these other things. And so we have this kind of cacophony of noise within us, and it's hard to concentrate on the small things that need done, or that even sometimes bring pleasure. So when we think about these factors, all of these factors, and they're not fun to think about. They're never fun to think about. So, but when we're thinking about them in terms of your capacity, your stress capacity, we have all of these things coming into your capacity bubble. So coming into your arena, into you as you are. All of these things that come along, and they just start kind of creeping in. They start filling that up, right? And that's just the stress that you experience that is external. It's just those daily demands and those demands of living, right? And then you have all of your responses to those demands of living that then start to come in and build up, and it is a build up, because we don't typically experience all of this all at once. It's one thing leads to another and piles on get all in there, because we all experience all of these things at some point or another at different levels as it pertains to different types of circumstances and situations, right? And so once we get our internal stressors flaring up and building up, then we really start to feel that capacity fill up, and we really start to feel that get kind of overloaded. We get that, we'll put it on your mind, and we start to feel overwhelmed, right? This is where overwhelm happens. This is kind of the graphical depiction of overwhelm. And once we start to feel overwhelmed, that's when we start to have those external reactions to our stressors, right? We can kind of get moody. We can kind of start to lash out at the people that are really wanting to help us. We can start to push away, and really kind of the response when we think about capacity, what we try to do, and really a lot of times what we're told to do is try to figure out what stresses we have and offload those stresses. And really what you're doing by thinking of it that way, about trying to eliminate stress, is you're contracting your capacity. So you're bringing that capacity in. And so you're eliminating all of this capacity. And so your capacity to handle the stress that comes your way, and any new stress, any additional stress, then becomes even less. And so that's can be a really challenging point to be at, where you start to just kind of push away people, you start to push away stress, and it can feel actually really pretty isolating. And so that's where some of these strategies that I'm going to talk about can come in. You start to think about, how can you start to live in a way and start to meet your daily stressors in a way that are oriented toward good health and oriented toward having a broader capacity to handle the stress that comes your way on a daily basis, and to invite new stress in, because we're going to learn and we're going to grow. Sometimes that creates additional friction and can create additional stress. And if you're wanting to engage in a health improvement journey, let's say, and many of you that are watching these videos are, then it can be difficult to bring that friction in, because there's going to be some stress, there's going to be some friction with that, and welcome that in. So what we're going to talk about now are the ways that you can start to think about bringing better capacity into your life. So let's literally flip the script and think about how you can start to increase this capacity. So we're going to start with a fresh slate here. So we saw that you were at this point in your life experiencing a lot of stress. Your capacity is full, and you're starting to maybe contract and think about, how can I eliminate stress? How can I come back to center? And that's great to come back to center, but we want to do it in a reflective way. I'm going to come back to that previous. And so when we start to reflect on, we want to reflect on, what are the stressors that we're facing, right? What are the feelings, the stressful feelings that I'm experiencing due to my experience with my external stressors? But then we want to think about, it's helpful to think about how you can reflect on those in a way that breeds compassion and understanding. So it brings some clarity to your vision of who you are in this moment. And I call that our now vision. And so when you think about this is you right now. This is a vision of you right now. This is an honest take, is an honest assessment of all the stressors that you have in your life and your experience with those things. And then we're going to have a little compassion, and we're going to think about, okay, what does that mean for me right now? It's okay to be who I am, who you are right now, and experiencing the things that you're experiencing, and experiencing the emotions that you're experiencing due to the stress that you have. because it's you. It's your culmination of experience with life and the stress of living. And so it's okay to be who you are right now. I want to stress that. That's your now vision that we just talked about, with you at that full capacity. Okay? And it may not reflect everyone that's watching this video, that extreme capacity, extreme vision of that, but some I know it will. And for those that maybe aren't at that point, you may feel like you could get to that point pretty easily. And so we're wanting to think about how is it that we can expand this capacity that you have for stress, and how to meet the stress of your everyday and invite additional stress and potential stress and friction through learning and growth into your realm. And so you can get better every day and move toward your future vision of what health can look like for you. And we'll talk about the healthy life vision and what that looks like in another video, in a video to come. But right now, just know that healthy life vision is the vision of you at, not necessarily at your ideal health or at your peak of health, but where you would like to see yourself in maybe 2 to 5 years. Whatever feels okay for you to vision out, where do you want to be? Even a year from now, even 6 months from now, what is that vision of yourself? Where would you like to be in yourself, in your ability to handle the stress, meet the stress that comes your way on a daily basis? Where would you like to be? So that's what that healthy life vision is. And so we've looked at your external stress or your internal stress, and now we're going to look at some ways that you can help to manage and mitigate some of those things. All right. So you've got your healthy life vision, and that healthy life vision starts to then ask, what is it about my internal stress that I can start to manage with some healthy living practices? And these are your foundational healthy living practices. And these are really foundational types of practices. And again, there's a lot of nuances on these things, a lot of preferences involved, but these are the foundations of what those things are. So you've got your food, healthy water, and clean foods, regular physical activity, sleep and rest, good periods of sleep and rest, regular sleep and rest, predictable, one would say, good hygiene. So how well are you taking care of your body in cleanliness, really in the ways that's really your self-care. So that hygiene, so that health, self-care through hygiene. And then how are you connecting with your community? Where are you finding your support to get through the stress that you're experiencing? So then you can lean on others in areas where you feel like you could get better and you have some room for growth. And so there's some ways there that community can be really enriching and really invite those things. And so what that can do then is those healthy living practices can help with that internal stress. And so remember, we talked about pain, we talked about illness, we talked about anxiety and those things. Some of the lifestyle things and things beyond medication that we're talking about that that can help with and have been proven to help with things like anxiety and regular pain, chronic pain, regular illness, and even chronic illness, help to manage the symptoms of chronic illness are food and water, good clean food and water, physical activity, sleep and rest, and then of course your hygiene is going to be important too, in your community. But these three things help with that inflammatory factors. Go a long ways to help with those general inflammatory factors in your body, and so you have less discomfort overall. You have more brain power. Your energy is better. You have more capacity in your mental and really even emotional states and what we're doing here is lessening that internal stress. And so then you can manage your external stress a little better. So when your internal stress starts to feel more calm and more less stressful, right? So there's less noise and less burdensome, then your external stress then also will start to feel like less of a burden. And you can invite it in, and you can have a little clearer thinking, a little bit more of a clear head about how you can respond to those things. And we talk about that in terms of health-oriented decision making. So these practices, these healthy living practices, and I know it's a process to think about all of those factors, and that's why we talk about the now vision. We root ourselves in the now vision and being really honest, compassionate, and aware of what your life looks like right now, what you're experiencing right now, so you can start to think about how you can invite these healthy living practices, health-oriented living practices into your life in a way that doesn't increase your internal stress, doesn't increase your anxiety, things like that. It actually helps. And it doesn't add a lot to your external stress. So we're thinking about these things in a really compassionate and thoughtful way too. And that's part of that healthy life visioning. So it's your now vision and your future vision together. Okay? And so I don't want you to feel overwhelmed with this list of practices, because it's best to look at them one step at a time and look at the good things that you're doing already in order to move forward. Because if you're thinking about health visioning, and you're here watching this video, more than likely you're already doing a few things that are health oriented and health improvement oriented, and so we lean into those things and get them even stronger and even more effective and even more consistent, because really it is about consistency, and that's where expanding your capacity can help out a lot. And so if we've done these things to lessen the burden of our internal stress, and so it vis-a-vis starts to lessen the burden of the external stress, or the perceived burden at least, right? And not the overall influx, but the perceived burden. If you have internal stress is more managed, then you can meet that external stress in a more effective way. And so what that looks like is an increased capacity. You've gone for your standard capacity, you're starting to bring these things on board, and it's starting to lessen your stress burden, then that capacity expands. And you can bring on more stress, right? You can invite more stress, or at least feel like more comfortable and confident in this to manage the stress that you have in your day, in your daily life, in a positive and productive way, and you don't get to that point where you're having to contract in and start to push away. And that's really what we're doing here, is trying to mitigate that. And so instead of pulling in, so we take that moment of reflection, which is a pulling in, but we're not pushing away. We're just coming in and reflecting on all of those stressors that we're meeting. And I'm just going to kind of revisit here and recap, because we've talked about a lot already. And so we're going inward a little bit to take an honest look, an honest assessment of all of these things that we're experiencing, the external stressors that are a part of our lives, and our internal responses and internal feelings about those stressors and how they're affecting us internally. And we're looking at, where are we right now in this capacity? Are you starting to push away? And if you're starting to push away, just take that time to come in and reflect on these things, these experiences, and these feelings. And think about, what can I do right now in a positive and productive way to flip the script and start to increase your capacity to manage and mitigate the stress in your daily life in a positive and productive way. In a positive and productive way, that can be for you, positive and productive for you. It can be positive and productive for those people that are also involved, because there's typically more people involved, especially in your stressors. because we live in a communal world, and we live in a large society, and it involves other people. And when we start to push other people away, we start to feel isolated, and it just compounds. So we're really wanting to think about how can you expand your ability to reach out and welcome the stress that is a part of your day as just a part of your day. And then to reach out and welcome input from other community members, other members of your community. And it could be just your tight-knit community, your friends, your family, your close people, and get that support that you need to lift you up and see you through the stress of your day. And maybe you're going through an increased stress, and you really reach out to that community for that support then. All right, so there's a lot to unpack here, and we're gonna kind of come full circle. There'll be a lot more that we're going to talk about because it is a big subject, and I think we don't take enough time a lot of times to think about the nuances of health and health improvement and trying to make health-oriented changes in your life. And so what I'm trying to do is give you a good visual, a good picture of what it could look like. But it's really the time taken by you to go inward and reflect, and then start to be consistent with the things that you can be consistent with. Go through that strategy making, the health-oriented strategy making, and start to bring those things into your life, adapt these things to be more health-oriented, so more in line with that vision that you have for yourself. And it's because it's really about you. I could tell you what could be a good way to manage and mitigate, but it really is up to you. And that's going to be the most effective strategy, is a strategy that comes from you. And because it's about you. It's you-centered. And it's okay for this to be you-centered, right? Your strategies for health and health orientation. Because if you're able to do that, you'll be able to show up better in your community and for your family and friends. And maybe even inspire them to be a little more health-oriented as well. So we're increasing that capacity. Again, we're adapting our healthy living practices so they're a little more health-oriented. They're more oriented toward that vision of health that you have for yourself. Lessening the burden of your internal stress so you can handle more of your external stress, and you can be a little more clear-headed on how to move forward and how to make decisions in your daily life as the demand for decision making comes to you, that then leads to that healthy life vision. And that healthy life vision informs all of these things. So it's a kind of a continuous feedback loop here. So your healthy life vision informs your healthy living practices and your healthy living strategies, and those strategies are informed by your internal stress and also help your internal stress. And then internal stress is informed by and increased by the external stress, but it also helps the internal stress once you're able to feel more in control of those internal stressors. And then your external stressors, your demands of daily living, are directly inform your decision-making skills, and your health orientation then helps with those things. And all in all, you've got a nice capacity here that is an intermingling of positive, supportive vibes, let's say, positive, supportive things. And you don't have that sharp red, but you do have your internal and external stressors because they're always going to be there, right? And so you have this just nice intermingling of supports and stress, and you can feel a little more comfortable and confident in your ability to meet the stress of your daily life and meet the stress that comes your way on a daily basis, and to invite a little bit more friction into your life, right? Because we know that anytime that we actively experience learning and growth and actively engage in learning and growth, there's some adjustments and adaptations to be made, and that can be stressful, and there can be some friction there. And we're gonna have another video here real soon about having overcoming that fear of change and adaptation. And so we'll talk a little more about that. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful. Give you a little picture about how we get to feeling like we're drawing in and pushing away, and what are some alternatives to that reaction and response to overwhelm and feeling overstressed about your demands of daily living. And it really centers around that healthy life vision, your now vision, especially reflecting on that now vision and having a future vision of where you would like to go. Anyway, so there'll be lots more to come. Again, I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions about this, feel free to leave them in the comments. Feel free to send us a message, even if you're not feeling comfortable and confident about leaving in the comments. So send us a message. Get in the community. Be a part of what we're building here. If you feel like this could be helpful for anyone else in your life, be that mentor. Be that mentor to them, and put this in front of them. They don't have to watch it. You don't have to have that expectation that they're going to watch it, but at least put it in front of them and give them something to consider. Okay. For now, many blessings. We'll talk again soon.